Good evening, everyone. I feel elated to introduce the chief guest of the session, Azra Tahizi. Azra Tahizi is a university English language teacher. She has completed her PhD in English language teaching from Goa, Iran. She excelled during her learning and teaching by acquiring many awards. She has received IIU Global Edu Leader Award 2021. She serves as a SPSA ambassador and she has received Peace Ambassador Honorary Royalty Award USA. She also actively participated in Roundtable exclusive talk show episode 7 on the topic Sharing is Caring with global educated and 21st DigiSkills team speaker. She also acted as a resource person in international conferences and delivered her speech on various topics. Ma'am, now the session is yours.
Hello everyone. Good afternoon, good evening to all, and I would like to thank you all for attending in this meeting, and many thank you for this amazing opportunity. And now I wanted to share my presentation. My topic is about digitalizing teacher research structure vision integration in the multimodal meta-language skills via online context medium. If you are a beginner, writer new to academic writing, or a non-native English speaker, then it might seem like daunting or challenging process at the beginning. The best way to begin writing a research paper is to learn about the research paper structure needed in your field, as this may vary between fields. Producing a research paper structure first with various headings and subheadings will significantly simplify the writing process. A typical research paper will contain the following sections in the sequence: 1. Introduction, 2. Material and method, and 3. Results and discussion. This is sometimes abbreviated in as IMRAD, IMRAD. In addition to this is abstract, which is the first section of any research paper. Since the abstract is summary of your paper, it should always be written at the end after all the main sections are complete. Can you see my screen now, or is frozen for you? Can I continue?
Mary, please, it's not in presentation mode.
Okay.
Yes.
How can I don't know. Wait. Okay. But sorry for this. I will continue in this way. Research paper structure. As you see in this picture, 1 is title page, 2 introduction and background, 3 literature review, 4 methodology, 5 findings results, 6 discussion, 7 implication, 8 conclusion, 9 reference appendices. And may you ask from yourself, what are the differences between introduction section and background section? The introduction section is a summary that outlines the major elements of your study. The background is a segment talk about the necessity of your study. It covers the objectives of the paper, and it will talk about why this report or this research is necessary, why is important. And it will talk about similar research. In the third slide, you can see that research papers or articles are usually between 5 and 20 pages and are complete descriptions of a current original research finding. But there are considerable variations between scientific fields and journals. May you ask, what are the differences between scientific fields, papers, and journal? Journal papers are published in the publication after extensive research done in the corresponding field. But scientific fields papers document knowledge about science. For example, COVID-19 outbreak at the beginning of 2020. As a scientific paper, we can say example. And in this picture, you can see the structure of a research paper. At the top, you can see context. You can ask what is context of a research paper. The background of the study establishes the context of research. It explains why a particular topic of research is, and for understanding a main aspects of the study. And rational. What is rational of a research paper? In your idea, what is rational? Maybe the rationale of the study is the reason for why the study was conducted. Research question. The next section is research question. May you know that the research question is the objectives or hypothesis of the study helps to set up context for what you have researched. You know material, methods, results, discussion, and implications. May you say the implications, why implications are important for us. You know that how your research important study area in this study areas, or discusses how findings of the study may be important and what are the impacts of this study. And in this slide, you can see the research process. Step 1, choose a topic and gather background information. Step 2, narrow down the topic. Step 3, develop a research strategy. Step 4, evaluate and compile a preliminary bibliography. Step 5, take down notes. Step 6, create a preliminary thesis statement outline. And step 7, write the first draft. You make your draft. Step 8, revise the paper. Step 9, submit the paper. Writing a research paper is a process involving the 3 R's: reviewing, revising, rewriting. And you can see in this picture the research writing process diagram. The first step you have in your structure, you see, is choosing a topic, then narrowing it, and the next steps you can see that continue until submitting a paper. And here you can see how to write a paper in a minute. Title, abstract, intro. In the title, indicate the main finding. Abstract, concisely written, provides a clear overview of the work, contains the essential facts from the paper, and the placing work in a broader context, highlighting its significance. Intro, provides a clear, concise background to the study, outline the aim of the study, hypothesis, provide context to current work, motivation for the work is explained. Is there satisfactory citation of prior literature? Here you can see methods, results, discussion, and conclusion. In methods, enough detail to replicate study. Is it clear what measured? Are statistical design and analysis appropriate? Results, are the results provided in a form that is easy to interpret and understand? Have results for all questions asked been provided? Are the figures and tables appropriate? Have the correct units of measurement been used? In the discussion and conclusion segment, have the authors answered their research questions, hypotheses? Are the conclusions drawn from the result justified? Has the significance of the study been fully explained? How do the results relate to similar studies? By how much has this study advanced the current understanding of science? Title determines whether paper gets read. User keywords that researchers in a particular field will recognize. Avoid long title. Use can see as journal rules. In this presentation, I'm going to talk about research paper outline. With the help of this presentation, we will learn what is research paper outline and how we write it. Most of our students face the problems in writing research paper outline. What makes the research paper outline important? Yes. Why not? The research paper is an academic way of representing the research. The universities assign it to encourage students in terms of doing research, preparing hypotheses, for performing analysis. Also, the aim is gather knowledge about methodologies and evaluation authors' viewpoints. As again, you can see in this picture, research paper, abstract, introduction, main body, literature review, hypothesis, research methodology, analysis, findings, discussion, conclusion, and recommendations, references. The first segment is abstract, but we will write it at the end. Abstract. Abstract is shortened version of the paper. It determines 1, what the objectives of the study were, 2, how the study was done, 3, what results were obtained, and 4, the significance of the results. Avoid references, acronyms, mathematical symbols. Frequently, readers of scientific journal will only read the abstract, choosing to read at least those papers that are most interesting to them. Also, it appears as the first section in the paper. Most scientists write the abstract section last. Please tell me, can you see my slides?
No, it's not visible now.
Is visible? Okay, thank you. Yes, as we told, in abstract section, identify a problem and research solution. Include information on methods and results. Mention the implications of your research. Highlight the uniqueness of your findings. Review and update abstract. And word count are important in abstract section. And here you can see key elements in abstract part. Element 1, start with key problem. Sum of the paper. Element 2, main purpose, aim of the study. Element 3, importance of study. Element 4, methodology used. Element 5, main findings, expected findings. Element 6, statement of conclusion, implications of the study. And here, as we told, it is a brief explanation of entire paper. It focuses on providing the key points which will be explained throughout the paper. The abstract helps the reader to know the points that will be comprised of the paper and arise at the beginning before table content and after cover title page. After abstract section, we have introduction section. The introduction section is one of the most important sections of research paper. The introduction section should start with a brief outline of the topic, then explain the nature of problem at hand and why it is crucial to resolve this issue. Content literature review that provides relevant background information about the topic and should touch upon seminal and pioneering work in the field and most recent studies pertinent to your work. The literature review should end with few lines about the research gap in chosen domain. This is where you explain lack of adequate research about your chosen topic and make a case for the need for more research. This is an excellent place to define research question or hypothesis. The last part of introduction should be about your work. Having established the research gap, research gap is so important. Now you have to explain how you intend to solve the problem, subsequently introduce your approach. You should provide a clear outline that includes both primary, secondary aims, objectives of your work. You can end section by providing how the rest of the paper is organized. When you are working on the research paper structure, use the word code diagram as guidance. You see in introduction section, explain why is this study scientifically important and what is the objective. Discuss the results, conclusion of previously published studies to help explain the state of art of current study. The introduction is organized to move from general information to specific information. Limit the introduction to studies that relate directly to present study. Emphasize your specific contribution to the topic. The last sentences of the introduction should be a segment of objectives, a statement of hypothesis. This will be good transition to the next session methods, which you will explain how you proceeded to meet your objectives and test your hypothesis. You can see elements of introduction. Element 1, state broad theme or topic of the paper. Academic importance or relevance, why my paper is worth a read. Element 3, summarize available literature and cite important studies in the field. Element 4, main gaps. You see main gaps of the paper or main contribution of the paper. Element 5, research questions, context, theoretical framework, method. Element 6, structure of upcoming session. And here, you start with simple language without jargons. Keep in mind, you are giving paper to unprepared reader. Use examples to explain technical words or concepts. Academic importance, no less previous work, but enough practical work evidence. Your work should have enough evidence. As you see here, as we told, the introduction is a significant part of the research paper's outline. Outline is here so important. It is the point that grabs the attention of the reader's interest, keeps them engaged in reading the paper. The introduction consists of the most important elements for following the transitions links among the topics. It mainly includes the thesis statement and brief explanation of topic and representation of the main terms used in research. You see here, it runs approximately one tells the length of the entire paper, provide the context and overview of topic, discusses how you like to deal the issues or subject, whether you are exploring, arguing, presenting facts, theories, synthesizing the ideas of others, providing, proving, disproving point, providing insights on the matter, or any other combination of ways. Note, in this argumentative paper, the introduction usually is your main idea. And analytical papers introduction usually is giving general direction paper will take. And you can see after the introduction is our main body. The longest section of paper is body. And you can see here, it can run for several pages, provide ample space for you to make your case, either to analyze or defend an issue. The body part is the main subject matter in research paper. It comprises several important components from the outline or research paper. The literature review is the one that supports the hypothesis. The literature review helps in evaluating the viewpoints of several authors. Next is a hypothesis that is about the relationship between the dependent and independent variables. It is the path that guides the reader on what to look at in the findings. In the context of research methodology, the research paper reveals the way of gathering the information, whether it is qualitative or quantitative. It is a substantial factor for knowing about the efforts that have been put by the learner for doing research. Here you can see effective reading of peer-reviewed literature. How the literature review is important. You can see how many barriers is between you and doing literature review here. These are your barriers, you can guess them. Is the research question hypothesis clearly presented? Does the research follow logically from prior knowledge? Is the article appropriately structured and clearly presented? Can you easily summarize the key message in the article? Does the title reflect the content and is it engaging? Does the article fit with the scope of journal or lab being reported on? Does it take account of relevant recent and past research in the field? Rating literature. Theoretical core of the paper. Critically evaluates, reorganizes, synthesizes the work of other researchers. Digests information from various sources and present in logical and reader-friendly manner. 3 challenges of literature review. Finding suitable literature on a specific topic. You should choose the best theory of your literature review to set up your literature review. Managing information. Presenting logical, synthesized, reader-friendly review of current knowledge. Organizing literature review. Start with general wider concepts, plan headings and subheadings, write in full sentence by using a verb, write in active voice, use less direct quote, paraphrase and explain in your own words in text citations. And the most important section you can guess is material and methods. The materials and methods section of the research paper should include detailed information about the implementation details of your method. This should be written in such a way that it is reproducible by any person conducting research in same field. This section includes all the technical details of experimental setup, measurement, procedure, and parameters of interest. It should also include details of how the methods were validated and tested prior to their use. It is recommended to use equations, figures, tables to explain workings of method purpose. Add placeholders for figures and tables with dummy titles while working on research paper structure. Suppose your methodology involves data collection and requirement. In this case, you should provide information about the sample size, population characteristics, interview processes, requirement, methods, and it should also include details of the consenting procedure and exclusion criteria. This section can end with various statistical methods used for data analysis and significance testing. Here, spotlight on methods and materials. Best to begin writing when experiments is still in progress, demonstrate the reliability of results, provide all methodological details necessary for another scientist to duplicate your work. And the next section is figures. The advantage of this section using to communicate in clear point. If possible, put that point in figure caption that describing the figure shows. Figures and tables. Use tables and figures to organize large amounts of data. Figures and tables should be easy to understand without the reader having to refer to the text. Results given in a table should not be described in full in text. Guidelines for figures and tables. High resolution, neat legible labels, simple, clearly formatted, indicate error, and detailed captions. Construct tables and figures first. Primary outcome first, secondary outcome later. Main findings must stand out. Present results in logical manner. Do not repeat. Unexpected results last. And after figures, we have results. Presents the experiment results but does not attempt to interpret their meaning. Don't present the raw data, summarize data with text, tables, or figures. You must refer in text to each figure or table in your paper. Do not include the same data in both a table and a figure. It is not necessary to describe every step of your statistical analysis. Here you can see results and discussion section of research paper should be the concluding part of your research paper. In the results section, you can explain your experiment's outcome by presenting adequate scientific data to back up your conclusions. You must interpret the scientific data to your readers by highlighting the key findings of your work. You also provide information on any negative and unexpected findings that came out of your work. It is vital to present the data in an unbiased manner. You should also explain how the current results compare with previously published data from similar works in the literature. In the discussion session, you should summarize your work and explain how the research work objectives were achieved. You can highlight benefits your work will bring to overall scientific community and potential practical application. You must not introduce any new information in the section. You can only discuss these things that have already been mentioned in this paper. The discussion section must talk about your work's limitations. No scientific work is perfect, and some drawbacks are expected and limitations. If there are any inconclusive results in your work, you can present your theories about what might have caused it. You have to end your paper with conclusions and future works. In conclusion, you can restate your aims, objectives, and summarize your main findings, preferably in 2 or 3 lines. You should also lay out your plans for future work and explain how further research will benefit the research domain. Finally, you can also add acknowledgements and references section to research paper structure for completion. As we told, the essence of paper discussion, what elements should it contain? Think, what elements should it contain? What about the articles which you write? And it should have the elements like explain your results, meaning agree with or differ from other published results. Why? Relate the discussion with objectives and questions. Limit your conclusion to those that your data can actually support. In concluding paragraphs, usually summarize the main points in the paper, reiterate thesis statement using different words. It also contains some implications and discussion consequences. Its aim point in the outline summarizes all contexts which have been discussed. The reader can look at the conclusion for knowing about the main point. And the final comment on the thesis statement. In contrast, the recommendations are given for future research and innovation in a particular subject. It gives a chance to learner to provide the future scope of the study. And the final part, references. Relevant and recent. Be highly selective. Read the references. Do not skip. And all cited articles have to be listed in references. Use correct styles for journal. For example, you can see here references. And how to write a good research paper in online context. What is a research paper? Please write your ideas. I want to know what is a research paper. I know all you know what is a research paper, but may have different definitions from a research paper. A research paper is the culmination and final product of an involved process consisting of research, critical thinking, source evaluation, organization, composition. Is a living thing which grows, changes as student explores, interprets, evaluates, and sources related to a specific topic. Primary, secondary sources are the heart of a research paper, provide its nourishment. The research paper serves not only to further in field which it is written, but also provide students with an exceptional opportunity to increase his or her knowledge in that field. How to choose topic? I also wanted to know your ideas. How you choose your topics? It is interesting question and challenging question. How you choose your topics? Thinking early leads to starting early. If your students begin thinking about possible topics, half of the work is completed. Therefore, start the writing process. It is important for students to keep in mind that an initial topic may not be exact topic about which he or she ends up writing. Research topics are often fluid and dictated more by students' ongoing research than by original choosing topic. Such fluidity is common in research paper and should be embraced as one of its main characteristics. Therefore, do not worry about your title too early. It may undergo change. How to do it? Explore the problem, not the topic. Who is your reader? What is your purpose? Who are you? The writer? What image or persona do you want to project? Make your goals operational. How can you achieve your purpose? Can you make a plan? Generate some ideas. You can generate some ideas by brainstorming. Keep writing, don't censor or evaluate. Keep returning to the problem. Talk your readers. What questions would they ask? What different kinds of readers might you have? Ask yourself questions, journalistic questions: who, what, where, when, why, how, so what? Who are my audience? If the audience I am writing for is not particularly interested in my topic, what should I do to pique its interest? Will each member of the broadly conceived audience agree with what I have to say? If not, which will likely be the case? What counter argument should I prepare to answer? Remember, one of the purposes of a research paper is to add something new to academic community, and the first-time researcher should understand her role as an initiate into a particular community of scholars. As the student increases her involvement in the field, her understanding of her audience will grow as well. Once again, practice in the heart of your research. You can see examples of online research you can submit: blogs, wikis, social networking sites, digital media sharing websites, social tagging, others, Twitter. Construction of an article. The general structure of full article, as you see, as we talked about it. You can see acknowledgements is your chance to thank people who have helped and funding organization. Here you can see references. Make everything conform to the guide for authors of the journal. Correct format is the responsibility of the author and supplementary material. Experimental details with secondary importance. You can see the words for every segments of your structure. And this is so important to avoid, all of us should try to write original and to avoid plagiarism. Do not try to rewrite an author's sentence in our own words, or always use too many of that author's words. You can see common errors here. Common errors for title or abstract: too vague or detailed, non-captivating readers' interest, overstating or generalizing. These are our errors in abstract or title part. Introduction part: too much information, random summarization of papers on subject, or failure to point out gap or question. Methods part: insufficient detail to enable replication by others. Results: confusing figure design, not telling an easy to follow story, redundancy with other sections of paper, discussing results safe for discussion, including detailed methodology safe for methods, and discussion part highly redundant with results, too much information, poor translation, omission of related or not helpful, not following specific journal instructions. And you can see here example of a structure for a paper, title, abstract, introduction, literature review, research methods, conclusion, and recommendations. And here you can see summary of today's presentation. We talked about introduction, what was the purpose of our study, what questions did the authors want to answer, why was the question important to answer. This information comes from severity impact of problem, previous research into problem, what previous research lacked. Writing the summary, a method, who were the participants, how many age, diagnosis, skill levels, how were they selected, setting, where did the study take place, where did the study take place, what participant behavior was being measured, how were data collected and summarized. What did the experimenters systematically do to influence our procedure? Would you be able to replicate the procedure? What design was used? Did the authors demonstrate functional? Is enough appropriate? Was treatment integrity assessed? How was social validity assessed? How were generalization and maintenance data collected? And results discussion, what did they find? The analysis of data appropriate? Were the findings in agreement with or in contrast to previous research? Should relate back to hypothesis, focus on content, not less, condense later, write about hypothesis, method, results first, and here, write a first draft, focus on content, not less, and thank you for attending. It was for today, and thank you for watching my presentation.
Thank you, ma'am.
Thank you very
Any
much.
questions from participants?
May I ask them a question, write their idea how they choose a topic? It is interesting for me to how they choose a topic. May is a question of all. Write the idea in the chat box.
Thank you, ma'am. Dear participants, you can ask questions.
Dear participants, if there is no question, shall we move on to the next session? Yes, ma'am. Yes, there is a question. Yes, ma'am, you can ask Dr. Shima. Thank you, Ashra ma'am. Thank you for sharing your valuable time with us, and I hope your
Good
ideas will.
evening, ma'am. Hello, I have a question.
Yes, ma'am.
Yes,
Yes, ma'am. You can proceed.
Okay, thank you very much, Madam Ajra, ma'am. I have a question like for every research paper, is it necessary to put review of literature as a part of the paper itself?
yes, it is a so important part of your study. Yes, for every article, it is necessary to have literature review.
So if we put the review of literature, it should just be just after introduction or where it should be according to the arrangement of the paper.
Yes, it is the yes, it is after introduction, the third part of your yes, it is the third part of your study. After
Actually,
introduction.
ma'am, I am from literature, so I don't have like much idea about writing research paper. I have tried a bit, but I don't know because I haven't published in any kind of high impact like journal. So it's a kind of a like yeah.
In my
So thank
idea,
you very much.
my pleasure, in my idea, if you first select your gap and which area you are interested in, you will start writing easily.
Okay. Thank you, ma'am. Because someone suggested, like from our department, like they said that it's not necessary to put review of literature every time. So I wanted to know about it. Thank you, ma'am. So if it is necessary, then thank